Okay, let's talk about July 3rd's super full moon. We'll be going over this in 3 parts. You can skip the part that interests you. Part 1 will be discussing why this supermoon is in Sagittarius and the sun is in Gemini. And it's important to know where the sun is and where the moon is. So part 2 will be the general message overall, but always remember it's your unique chart that plays a major difference. In part 3, why is it called a supermoon? How is this related to the Phoenix Rising calendar reset? So let's start with the Dendra Zodiac. Why are we saying it's in Sagittarius and Gemini? So the moon in Sagittarius and the sun in Gemini, when the whole rest of the world, most people anyway, are saying it's in Cancer and Capricorn. Why is that? Well, we're going to show you that Mother Nature always shows us the correct settings. We've also left this correct settings in the Dendra Zodiac in Egypt. So bringing in the Zodiac and laying it over top of the Dendra Zodiac, you can see that there's some alignments here. If you look at all these arms, you see that there's 12. Why did they think there was 12? There's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, everywhere you look, it's 7 and 12. 5, 7, and 12. And now look at the crossing arms. So you can see there's crossing arms here, crossing arms here, crossing arms here, and crossing arms there. Oh, that's important, right? Because that relates to the cross. So they're showing you something. And now look at on the 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fixed. They're saying that this is immovable and it's fixed. That's really important. So now let's bring in the golden ratio, found everywhere in all things. This is the 60 repeating golden ratio numbers. It repeats every 60. Why is that? And why, when these 60 repeating golden ratio numbers, you get 4 zeros on the cross and you get 5s at every other fifth? This makes the circle of fifths. This is how everything manifests in the world. You've seen the Nautilus shells pictures. You've seen so many Fibonacci spirals and all the things, that all the proof of the golden ratio 1 to 5. It's all out there. This is why there's only 12 signs and there's not 13 signs on the zodiac. It's impossible. Well, people say, but Ophiuchus is supposed to be the 13th sign. Ophiuchus is important. Very important constellation with great information, great qualities, great vibrations to help us understand the Ouroboros, the snake's head from eating its tail. If you go to Stellarium and you have a look, this is the ecliptic. This is the path that the sun takes amongst the stars. Yes, the sun does move amongst the stars. You just can't see it because it's blinding it out. But you can know by looking at what star is rising and what star is setting. So you can see Ophiuchus is standing on top of the ecliptic and Scorpio is more aligned with the ecliptic and below it. So this kind of shows you that it's there, and it's well, but is it really within the ecliptic or not? From the Alchemist, Ptolemy's Alchemist, when you look at the stars, all these are Ophiuchus, all these are Scorpio. Ophiuchus is north, every one of them, except for a little few here that just touch the ecliptic, and Scorpio is south latitude, except for there's a couple right there that are a little bit north. So Ophiuchus is standing on top of Scorpio. And then if you look at the longitudes, this is the longitude location along the ecliptic. They're aligned. So Ophiuchus does not share a space on the ecliptic. It's on top of the ecliptic. And Scorpio is on the zodiac. The story of Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer who separates the snake from eating its tail. And who's the snake? Well, it's Scorpio. The vibration. The one that stings. The one that materialistically manifests stuff that is not proper and that keeps you on infinite cycles, dying on the cross. So Ophiuchus is not the 13th sign on the zodiac, but Ophiuchus is very important to understand when you get alignments, especially if you have that strong in your chart. Okay, so let's bring in Stellarium. Where does the sun and the moon sit on that full moon? Why are they exactly in the sky? Well, as you can see, on July the 3rd at 7:38 a.m. in Windsor, the sun is in Gemini. That's what's happening in the sky. Same thing, same time, and the other side, the moon is in Sagittarius. Folks, we have to use what's in the sky amongst the stars. When the sun or the moon aligns with the stars behind them, it's excess energy. It can't be any other way. Okay, so let's talk about the supermoon. The full moon, the sun, so you look at the sun's right here in Gemini, and the moon, they're right across from each other. So it's important that you look at both signs, Gemini and Sagittarius. So the moon is the spiritual you, while the sun is a material you, i.e. the physical action. The moon in Sagittarius represents how you uphold your own spiritual law. That's why it's an archer sitting on a horse, the powerful horse. On the Dendra zodiac, you'll see that it's pointing its arrow at the scorpion. It's making sure uphold law, that you're not manifesting incorrectly. That's what the moon in Sagittarius implies. You, the spiritual you, upholding spiritual law. Like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police upholding the law. But this is spiritual law. Going to the other side now with the sun in Gemini, also important. So the sun in Gemini, Gemini is the twins, right? And the two stars, Castor and Pollux. Pollux is the female standing with her feet together. This is the domain of Horus. This is on the cross. On the cross, the spiritual cross. Her feet are together, meaning she's tethered to love. That's your internal yin. And then the masculine you, the yang, is walking, is manifesting. Did you hear that thunder at the same time? Pretty cool. So when you're walking, you're manifesting. So while you're manifesting and you're talking the talk and walking the walk, make sure that your spiritual law is being held up. That's what the message is for this full moon. So don't do physical things that are not loving to yourself or another being. So that's what you should do on this full moon. Give up drinking alcohol. Only eat plant-based foods. Those are just some examples. Alcohol is a spirit remover. There are plenty of plant essences that you can take that are spirit enhancers. On the full moon, there's the part of fortune, which is divine birthing. It's part of your manifesting. Children, manifesting anything in the material world. Will always be on a full moon, will be on the descendant, and on a new moon, it'll be on the ascendant. So part of fortune, they're calling it fortune, but don't think materialistically like money. Fortune meaning that law of attraction will kick in and you'll always be surrounded by loving people. That's what's important. So on a full moon, you should be releasing materialistic items. It's on the descendant, it's on the fall. This is the harvest line. So you should be harvesting materialistically non-serving for the greater good. I want to show you an example because depending on where you live, because this is for Windsor, Pluto is aligned exactly on a descendant on that full moon. Regeneration, men in your life, the father figure, God. Pluto is God, and the mother of God is Eris. So depending where you live, that's why a whole city can have certain aspects that happen that change the whole city because they're all along the same longitude line. So they will share this. Your chart won't have this if you're living out in London or in California on that full moon. So everybody's chart is different. So while people are talking generically of what to do for a full moon or new moon, just understand that your chart is unique and your location is unique. But even though your situations are different, the overall aspect will be the same. See, Orion is in Gemini as well, and Orion is lead forth the Mazzaroth through the ages. So be a good leader, be a good coordinator, be a good role model. Lead forth the Mazzaroth through the ages while you're upholding spiritual law. So why is there a supermoon? That's a fantastic question. I researched that, and through AI in a bunch of documents, and there's not really a whole lot of consensus. It talks about that the moon is closest to the earth, but if you ask for an equation, if you ask for proof, you don't see any. The supermoon is something that's just been recently invented, and they say there's a slight difference in size. So we're going to research that more and try to figure out why that happens. What's really interesting is that at the summer solstice, June 21st, the moon was at the most northerly location. And now on this supposed supermoon, it's at the most southerly location. But if you go look up at supermoons of the past, there's no direct correlation. There's no direct correlation to declination. There's no direct correlation to Saros cycle. There really is no set math for it. But the beautiful part is that the whole Earth sees it at the same time. So the seasons change when the sun goes from the maximum north limit to the maximum south limit. So the northern portion would have summer when the sun is on this side, and the northern portion has summer when it's on this side. The sun is the material one. The moon is the spiritual one. So it's part of the calendar reset, consciousness, awakening, facts that's happening in the sky. We're able to see more. We're going to understand more. This is a Phoenix rising year. Age of Aquarius is upon us. Revelation in the Bible resolves this fall. Sagittarius, upholding spiritual law, walking the walk, talking the talk, as a spiritual leader, knowing that you are tethered to love. One love.